Shareholders Association of the Philippines, or SharePhil, is part of the 30-member coalition pushing for an independent investigation into the anomalous DPWH flood control projects. SharePhil focuses on investor education, shareholder advocacy, and promotes good corporate governance in the Philippines. With us now for more is SharePhil Chairperson Maria Aurora Boots Geotina-Garcia. Good to see you, Boots. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Kathy.
So what motivated SharePhil to join this advocacy?
Well, firstly, it aligns with our own values, okay? SharePhil stands for fairness, faith. The acronym is faith, fairness, independence, accountability, transparency, and honor. That said, I think there's no reason why we should not support such an initiative among CSOs and various business organizations. Secondly, I think it's also important to note that what is happening today has an impact on capital markets, which is our advocacy, the development and the growth of our capital market. As it is, we're already struggling to have a more significant capital market as in comparison with the other Asian countries. And yet, this situation or this what is happening today is actually going to have an impact, firstly, on the growth and development of the capital market. Secondly, on investor confidence, as it will create an environment of a high-risk market which will not attract foreign investors. And thirdly, it also could result in downgrades in our risk ratings, which could impact on our ability to borrow at efficient costs.
Right. So the costs are just so
yes.
enormous, as you rightly point out. But I'm curious to know as to what kinds of conversations you're having now with clients, given the backdrop in which they're doing business now in the Philippines, as you advise them on mergers and acquisitions, capital raising, joint ventures, corporate restructuring.
Of course, there's a concern about, well, among others, importantly, I think, is having a level playing field is a concern and has been a concern. How will I be able to grow my business if I do not have the same opportunity as another who seem to have the favored or to have better connections with businesses that our agencies that they'll have to deal with is a concern. I guess there's also a question of stability. What's going to happen next? After all of these investigations, what's next? To our mind, importantly, I think we need to continue after the communicated or outrage from public and from the other institutions concerned. More importantly, is for us to support and advocate for long-lasting and sustainable reforms in many aspects of doing business with government.
So there's also already been a challenge doing business here, and then put this on top of that. As part of the 30-member coalition, what are the next steps then in ensuring that the proposed independent commission has the authority and the resources that it needs to effectively investigate the corruption allegations?
I think all of the civil society organizations that have signed, and even others who continue to state their opposition or their concern about the situation, should be ready to provide their resources, their expertise and competence, and share their talent to this investigation, whether in providing information, providing expert competencies, and again, as I said, ensuring that the results of the investigation will actually result in, or rather will create reforms, which is much needed.
Well, given your extensive experience in corporate governance and shareholder advocacy, what do you think the best practices are from the private sector that can be applied to strengthening the oversight in public projects like flood control?
Well, to begin with, we would like to also promote, even among our members and listed companies, an ethical business culture. I think that's important to consider from a corporate governance point of view. Secondly, in line with our advocacy on investor education, we would encourage our investing public to be choosy and choose the companies that are actually practicing good corporate governance. It's a process of not only the listed companies or those going public to be themselves practicing governance, the public who is investing must as well take note of that and call their attention and only choose companies to invest in line with corporate governance practices.
So that's ethical business and doing what's right. It sounds like we're needing more than just structural reforms or maybe even policy changes. What do you think they are that you believe are necessary to prevent corruption and mismanagement moving forward?
I think we need to review the procurement process. I've had my own experience in government. I've served government also for a bit of time. Importantly, I think a lot of the loopholes or the weaknesses arise in the procurement process from the time the terms of references are designed up to the point of awarding, and even importantly, through the monitoring process, ensuring that the projects that have been awarded are actually exist, especially if they're infrastructure projects. They're physically there. So there are a lot of weaknesses which can be addressed and gaps which need to be strengthened. I think the policies are there. The challenge has always been implementation.
What about when it comes to AMLA then? How does this coalition's push for accountability intersect with the broader issues around anti-money laundering, given the involvement of the Anti-Money Laundering Council in related investigations?
Well, I think among the members of the business community are the banking sector, financial institutions. So to the extent that they should cooperate in the investigations that there are going to or are going to happen, I think that's an important consideration if the investigations are to succeed, because we are aware of how money laundering has been used to actually, launder, as they may say, the funds that have been diverted.
Okay, there's a lot more to do, but a lot more to uncover as we watch the Senate hearings. Thank you so much, Boots, for your insights. Boots Garcia of SharePhil.